our electric bottle opener has died. So we have to make the happy manually. Ooh, that's a good sound. The sharky is sad with no water to sustain him. Come on, sharky. Just the fin out of water. Dun-na, dun-na, dun-na. Hey y'all, I am Chelsea, the content creator and designer behind Knitting Tipsy, and this is episode 11 of Show Us Your Knits. Show Us Your Knits is my yarny podcast where I get to be a proud 5-year-old and play show and tell with all of my finished objects and whips since last we spoke. Today is going to be very whip heavy and faux light because I don't have a single faux, but that's okay. I'm very proud of the progress I made. But before we dive into the whips, dive in. All the puns today. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is very good. I'm a fan. Today I have on my Jasper cardigan. This is a knit cardigan by Two of Wands. I finished this at the beginning of this year, end of last year, beginning of this year, and it is definitely one of my most worn makes. I wear it all the time. It's so bright and sunny, or bright and cheery, I guess, for here in Florida, and it honestly is the perfect weight. Today, our morning was, we're getting these weird cold snaps where we wake up and it's like 40 or 50 degrees, but then it gets relatively warm by midday. And my husband and I were talking about it last night. He actually went and looked it up. Like, what is the average, like, range of differences for this time of year in Florida? Because it feels pretty extreme. And it's usually 15 to 20 degrees. Like, it starts out, you know, colder and gets warmer, or, you know, is warmer in the day and then gets that much colder. Lately, I think today it was 51. I don't know if I said 57, but I meant 51. 51 when I woke up, and the high today was 77. So, you know, like 26 degrees. Tomorrow, the low in the morning, I think it's going to be 47 degrees, and it's going up to 83, which is like what, 36 degrees? And then I think the fall, like Thursday, it's like a 40-degree difference. This is insanity. It makes it really hard to know how to dress and to pack. But this cardigan for 40s and 50s, more like 50s, but for 50 degrees, 60 degrees, this cardigan has been lovely. It's made with Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. So it is a cotton cardi, but it's like, I don't know, it's just the perfect layer. And I love that it is a long, almost like duster length cardigan. And because pink and green are my favorite colors, it goes with so much in my wardrobe. I absolutely love it. I am also wearing, let me like get up here so you can see, this gorgeous Capricorn mermaid tank top. It has really nice side boob if you're into that. But this is a South Florida artist. Her Instagram handle is Megdalia Pace. And she has the most gorgeous, like, these kind of, like, Dia de Muertos mermaids, almost skeletal mermaids. They are so, so beautiful. And she does t-shirts and tank tops and bags and art that you can hang on your wall. It's absolutely gorgeous. I got this one 2 years ago, I think. And she is the Capricorn mermaid. So if you are into astrology and your zodiac signs, you can see what your mermaid looks like from her. And finally, I just felt like it was time to pull these guys out. Little body confidence and self-love for each day. Thick thighs, they do save lives. These are from Sea Salt and Sage, I think. I couldn't remember, and I was trying to go through my Instagram to find anywhere I'd tagged them, and I couldn't find the post. So I think these are by Sea Salt and Sage. I'm like 95% sure. And in case anyone wanted to know, I have no clue where I got the, well, I know where I got it. My mom got them for me. But here, let me turn off the light for a second so you can see it without the glare. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. But I had two of these. One was a blue Sharky and one was a pink Sharky. And Nikki, if you're watching, I love you. I forgive you. It's okay. But my friend Nikki, a year or two ago, we were drinking out of these and she wanted to have the pink Sharky glass. And she was like, can I put water in it? And I said, yeah. And she like put it under the thing. And I think the ice cubes had been hit and not just the water on our refrigerator. So ice cubes fell into the glass and just completely took, like it broke the stem that holds the Sharky up. And she felt terrible. But we've kept it because we're like, maybe we could find a glass blowing artist or something that could fix it. And wouldn't you know, fucking Disney. When you are on Main Street in Magic Kingdom, I shit you not, this is so cool. When you're on Main Street to your, like you're facing the castle, on the right, there are a bunch of shops that are interconnected. And one of the shops has the most beautiful glass blowing. A lot of people go there to get their Disney ornaments. You can get just the most beautiful glass sculptures for like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, or cheap, like you can get little ones for cheap. There's so much, and there's always a guy who demonstrates. So my husband, the other day, we were there, and he's like, I'm just gonna go ask him. So we went back and I don't know if we had a picture or we described it to him. He's like, oh yeah, I've seen those. And we explained what happened, and we're like, do you know of any place that could do it? And the guy's like, just bring it here, we'll fix it for you. Disney fucking magic, y'all. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring my Sharky glass to Disney and of course they'd fix it. It's Disney. It's the most magical place on earth. So I'm like legitimately so excited about that. The next time we go to Magic Kingdom, we are bringing our little shark glass and they're gonna fix it for us. If this is your first time here, I'm full of tangents and stories and we meander. That's what we do here. But now let's move on to whips. First up, we have the Theresa dress by Elizabeth Margaret Knits. I have been keeping Teresa. I switched her bag up. She is in my Fancy Boy Designs Lucky Gnome St. Patty's Day bag. It's so freaking cute. And the inside has all these little shamrocks. My husband and I went down to Fort Lauderdale, my parents' snowbird in the winter, and we were babysitting my fur sister, Lulu. Let me pop in a picture because she is so freaking adorable. We're so cute. But my parents were going on a cruise with my brother, his wife, their 3 children, my mom, my dad. So that group, we were invited. I don't like cruises. I know. I love tropical destinations. Being on a cruise ship with my anxiety, it's even the biggest ships, there's too many fucking people. There are so many people on these cruise ships. And yeah, they're not for me. I'd rather just go to an island and stay there and hang out, or go like to a really cool place in Mexico and stay there. But I do understand, especially like a Disney cruise. I'm like, oh, that would be really fun. But I can just go to Disney anytime I want. Anyways, I was supposed to go down by myself on Sunday, and then my husband was going to work a few days from home like he normally does and join me on Wednesday. I really thought I was ready for this. It's been better in some ways. I think just the 16th, today is March 18th, but on the 16th, it was 3 months since Rudy passed. And when I had told my mom that I would dog sit at the end of January, I really thought, okay, by like mid-March, early to mid-March, I think I'm gonna not feel great, but I think I'll be okay enough to come down to the house and watch the dog. I was not. I had a full-blown panic attack on Saturday and I was sobbing, and my amazing husband, everybody deserves a Steven. Everybody deserves a Steven in their lives. He just wiped away all my tears and he was like, look, this is a lot. I get it. Like, why don't I just come down with you? So I felt so bad. And he's like, please don't feel bad. Like, I'm happy to do this. But I did. I felt bad because this was not what he was planning. But he packed up all of his work stuff, like his big monitors. If you want to see his work setup, you can go to this past week's video. I did a mini vacation vlog and you can kind of see Steven on there and his setup. But he came down and it was really quite awesome. But anyways, tangent again. So I brought a bunch of my whips to work on while we were dog sitting Lulu, and to take with me on the beach and to the pool and to the different places in Fort Lauderdale. Specifically Lauderdale by the Sea is where my parents are, and it's such a sweet place. Because it was St. Patty's Day week, this was the project bag that I used. Wow, that was a long story. Let's take a look at my progress. Okay, I'm showing you the bottom of the dress, but y'all, we have one flap done. I feel so weird calling them flaps, like front and back flaps of this dress. Essentially like panels, flaps, that's what they are. The Teresa dress, it's absolutely gorgeous. I have made quite a few modifications to mine from the original pattern, but I'm still so obsessed with it. So my deep V neckline is in the front of the dress, not the back of the dress. And I modified where I put the split in the hemline. In the pattern itself, I think it's down around the knees. I wanted mine to be nice and high, like around the high, well, not high hip, but around the hip area or like upper thigh. And I stressed out so much about where I was gonna be putting that slit because I wanted it high. But then I was like, oh, maybe I'll add a few rows. And I was still worried it was gonna be too high. Now having tried it on, I wish I had put it higher. It's like a very respectable slit now, and I wanted it to be a little sluttier slit. But that's okay, I'm still gonna love it. But let me pop in a picture of, this is prior to me adding, like to finishing off on the front of the flap, but like, it's looking so good. I love how deep, and it's still coverage on the front. Like I'm not having to shift around a lot in the arms. It provides a lot of coverage while still being so plunging, and that's what I was going for. So for this front panel, I love that there is this faux garter seam that goes from basically under the armpit of the dress all the way down to the split. But I thought in my head as I made this that that garter stitch border was going to be at the bottom too. So like it comes down the sides, and I thought it would be at the bottom. But when I actually felt like, oh, this is the length that I want, and I looked at the pattern, there was a really cool, like a sloped bind off and then a curved hemline. That was beautiful. But what I've had in my head is a very square bottom with a garter stitch border. So I reminded myself that I'm not testing this. This is mine. I can do whatever the hell I want with it. And I went with that look. So the bottom has the garter stitch detailing, and it is a very square, there we go. It is a very square panel now. So instead, I think the pattern itself is beautiful with the sloped curve, but that just, it wasn't what was in my head. So I'm happy that I did that. And now I have the needles on the back panel. It's not a ton of progress, but there is some. I'm flying through this. This was something that I worked on at the beach every sunrise in Fort Lauderdale by the Sea. And I put a lot of time into it. I think on Sunday, which was the day that Rudy, it was his 3-month anniversary of his passing. And I listened to the birds outside. I sat outside. I did eventually come in and put on like a meditation. I think I put on a bunch of ASMR videos because they soothe me. And I worked on it quite a lot, as you can see. So I'm really happy. I do think the added weight to the back is gonna pull it a little bit. And then when the dress blocks, this is Truboo from Lion Brand. I've stretched the dress like to kind of see, and based on my gauge swatch, I think it's gonna be fine. But just in case it's not, I have some ideas because I've consulted the pattern again to see the finishing techniques, and I don't think I'm gonna use them. I don't know why. I'm just like, in my head now, it's a different look. And I think that's totally fine. I love the original Teresa sample. I love what I'm creating. So that's what's so awesome. That's what makes it such a superpower to be able to knit and crochet. We can make things exactly as we want them. But what I think I might do, because I do love the raw edge of the neckline and even the underarms, but I might, if it needs pulled just a little bit, if it needs a tiny bit of structure, I might do a single crochet or a slip stitch edging to the neckline and behind, like on the back of the neck, and then maybe to the armpits. So that's a possibility. But other than that, I can't believe how close I am to finishing this dress. I think I cast it on in April or May of last year. This is a dress that I am knitting for myself, but it's I'm doing it as part of a series here on YouTube. It's called Magical Making, where I combine my love of witchy shit and yarny shit and put them together. And for this particular dress, it just gives off, I think it does give off some witchy vibes, and it gives off high priestess energy from the tarot cards. And I've used this dress a lot to practice like staying in the moment and infusing energy and listening to my intuition, those kind of things. So it's been a really magical, mindful, wonderful project. I can't believe that it's almost over. I think I will be able to finish it before March ends, and there will be one more episode of Magical Making where I kind of wrap things up, and then I want to wear the dress during either a new or a full moon ceremony here at the house or at the beach. So I'm getting really excited. This has been such a long-term project, and it feels so slinky and silky and sexy to wear. I feel like this is definitely like the divine feminine energy that's going into it. So next time you see it, could be done, could be almost done, we'll see. But I will definitely be sharing more about it on Magical Making. And if you want to check out that series, I'll put a link in the description. My next whip is one of my newest designs. This is the Relaxation Ruana. Y'all, look at all these granny squares. And there's a couple more in the bag. Let's see. Here, a couple more in the bag. So for this design, I am basically making an oversized, simple ruana. It's going to have a back panel and the two flaps. This is just a flappy episode. The two front panels, seamed at the sides, and then a lapel. So very, very simple, very basic, but I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Now, I did the math for this design back in like September or October. And all of 2024 was rough and full of anticipatory grief. I only got one pattern out. Well, one pattern for like the general public. My Ko-fi had a couple extra patterns, but one pattern out, and that took so much energy, so much brain power from me. So I'm giving myself some grace and understanding that like things are much harder for my brain. The grief fog is real. So much of the energy that your body and mind and soul uses to, you know, get you through things and to heal. That means that sometimes math is harder than it usually is. But I did do the math back in like September, October, and I know that it worked. It was very simple math. And I thought, great, this is great. I made my squares about the size that I wanted to get the intended ease that I wanted for the garment, planned it all out, we're good. Then like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was sitting here crocheting on my little couch, and I was like, oh, okay, so how many did I need again? And I was kind of redoing the math in my head. I'm like, wait, that doesn't work. And then I went and got my design book, and I looked, and I'm like, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. And I was ready to cry. But I thought to myself, this was like the third time that week that something had happened that like basic math was not mathing. Like the universe just decided math was gonna like get up and walk away from all the rules that it usually follows. And I thought maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's me. So I decided, you know what, let's consult this at another time. And a few days ago, I thought, I'm a little better. Let's look at this math again. The math was fine. It was just my brain. But essentially, the basic math is that I decided on a 5-inch granny square. And when the granny squares are laid out in the pattern, I thought I would like this ruana to have like somewhere between 15 and 20 inches of ease. So with these being 5 inches, I thought, oh, if I do 6 granny squares across, that's 30 inches. That gives my ruana 60 inches of ease, or the finished, not 60 inches of ease, oh boy, 60 inches as the finished garment, which would give me approximately 14 inches of positive ease. So it was slightly less than the 15 to 20 I wanted, but I thought, no, this will be great. 6 squares across, and then if I made it 6 squares high, so from like the neck or shoulder down, that's again 30 inches. So on my body, 30 inches from like the shoulder, the back of the neck hits like right below my bum. And I thought that's perfect. So we have a back panel that is 6 by 6, 2 front panels that are also going to equal 6 by 6. So 36 and 36, I need 72 squares. God, I hope that's right. So I have made currently, of those 72 squares that I need, I have made 65 squares. So I am so close to being finished. And some of the squares that I'm making now are in color is Honey Sticks by the Little Wolf Knits. And the other squares are from the Little Wolf Knits Holiday Pixie Sticks Minis, which I have right here. They're Christmas colors, but more like they're just kind of different. I love them. We have, I think one's called Candy Cane. One is Gingerbread House, Coquito. They're kind of unique. Sugar Plum. Different colors than those traditional Christmas colors that you think about. And I think they all look really nice with the Honey Sticks color together. Here you can see, I think this is the Candy Cane one, but I did finish one of the squares, and this one is blocked, my 5-inch square, so that I could see what it looks like with the border. None of these other squares have that final row, the border, because I'm going to be using the join as you go crochet method. So they will be added to as we are joining the squares. Now, when you add the border, it actually, well, the border, the final round, it's like 5.25 inches. So it's gonna be a little bit more than 30 inches, well, 60 inches for circumference and 30 inches long, but approximately. We'll go with approximate. So it might be a tiny bit more oversized, but honestly, that's great with me. So once I have the last squares done in gold, I just think those gold will look really nice. I have one set of minis left, and I did plan it this way, both because I think the pops of the solid gold will look really cool, and also because I wanted to have some minis for the lapel. I might do a couple rows in granny stitch that are in these different colors. So maybe 1 row per mini. But I could also do all of the lapel in gold, which might look nice too. And I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna play around with it and see, but I wanted to give myself the option. So I do have 1 mini set left. Now I worked on this a lot at my parents' house. I have a little, I don't know if it's a photo or a video, but I'll pop it in. I was using the Tupperware method because I wanted to crochet, but it was really warm one of the days especially. And so I grabbed a Tupperware container from my mom and just sat my ass in the pool and crocheted. And it works. It works so well. I have a little inflatable pool that I use here in Orlando in my backyard, and I do the same thing. I get a Tupperware container. It's actually what I use to block most of my handmaids, and just plop my yarn inside of it, and then it floats / sits on my lap in the pool, and it keeps everything nice and dry. You know, I can set it in the water and it floats away a little bit while I drink a cocktail. It's pretty awesome. So as spring and summer are coming around, I highly recommend you try out the Tupperware method so that you can yarn and float. But yeah, the relaxation ruana, I think very feasibly I will finish the granny squares tomorrow or the next day. And then it's gonna be planning out the colors, like where I want the colors to go, starting that join as you go crochet method, which I honestly have no idea how long it'll take. It's going to be my first time doing that, but I could see me hyperfixating and doing it in a setting, like a sitting. Maybe that's not feasible. Maybe I would need to do it in 2 or 3 settings. Words are hard. But I think it'll be done pretty quickly. I think this is another project that could be finished by the end of March. And if that's the case, I was just talking to my husband about it. I'm debating whether I'm ready for a full tester call or not mentally. I always get the best testers. I don't know what it is. The universe is just really kind to me on that. But I have an amazing like group of past testers, and I don't know. I tend to, boy, does this sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I do. I tend to attract really great people. So if I do decide to do it, I think I can. I think I can do it. But I just worry that it can be overwhelming if you've never designed or hosted a testing group before, especially the ones that I like to do. I like my groups to be chatty. I like them, you know, for people to share their colors, and we have fun conversations, sex, drugs, rock and roll, you know, like all the good stuff. We share photos of us wearing things and are just each other's biggest cheerleaders. It's so much fun. But I'm not sure if I have the energy and the mental space to do that right now, because that's what I want to do. And I'm not sure I'm there. So if I don't, I want to finish this and have it, probably write up the pattern, and then I can save it for whenever I'm feeling better. Or maybe I just say, fuck it, I'm ready. You're never going to feel ready this year. I'm never going to feel super great, I feel like. But maybe I just jump in for it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the Relaxation Rihanna coming soon. One break. She's called Knit Tipsy for a reason. My next whip is not yet casted on, but it is going to be my entry for the Pop Your Cherry Make-Along, a make-along that I am hosting and begins March 20th exclusively for Knitting Tipsy Ko-fi members. Before I jump into the project itself, let me just chat up the Pop Your Cherry Make-Along and my Ko-fi just a tiny bit. Make-Along itself started March 20th, which for me is 2 days from now, but for y'all, it'll be a few days in the past. Movie magic. This is a 6-week make-along where we are popping our cherries and trying new things this spring. If there is a technique that you've always wanted to try, I know a couple people are trying steeking, those brave bitches. If there is a stitch that you've never tried before but you really like, I think one of my Ko-fi members is doing the balloon stitch in knitting. If there is a whole new craft that you want to try, I have several Ko-fi members that are trying either knitting or crochet, and there are a bunch of us that are trying Tunisian crochet for the first time. All fiber arts are welcome, so even if you wanted to try embroidery or cross stitch or spinning, this would be a great time to do it with a really supportive and fun group of makers. It's really a low-key make-along. You can enter to win prizes each week by commenting on the Ko-fi post. That's all you have to do. I do ask that you cast on or start your project right around our start time. Like if you want it, well, it's already past then for y'all, but if, I've been telling some of my Ko-fi members, you can start before the 20th itself, especially since we're having a virtual cast-on party, and sometimes counting stitches can be hard when you're chatting with a bunch of people. So around this time, people are casting on, and it's just so we're all like kind of starting together. But you do not have to finish your project for this make-along to win any of the prizes. And the prizes are really cool. There's knitting prizes. There's crochet prizes. There's Tunisian crochet prizes. There's an embroidery prize and a cross stitch prize. There also might be one more prize that I didn't list, like even to the Ko-fi, because it's either a surprise or it's not going to work out and I will substitute it with something else. But you can win any of these prizes. Even if you are already a knitter, you could still win the knit prize. Even if you're already a crocheter, you can still win the crochet prize. And the only thing you have to do is comment on the Ko-fi post for the week. that's it. We do have a Discord channel that's already popping off where we are chatting about our projects, about life. The Knitting Tipsy Ko-fi Discord, there are a ton of different channels, but we do have a dedicated channel for the Pop Your Cherry Make Along. So you will be welcome to join that when you sign up. Like I mentioned, there's a virtual cast-on party that we're doing on Google Meets. There's going to be a wrap-up party at the end of the make-along where we play show and tell. You can either show your whip if you haven't finished, or you can show your finished object. Just hang out, chat about the experience. I think it'll be really fun. But in addition to all of that, I usually throw in a couple of freebies like cocktail recipes or patterns that are just for people who have signed up for the make-along. And because you have to join my Ko-fi in order to participate in the make-along, you get all of the benefits of Ko-fi for those 2 months that you've signed up. I provide on Ko-fi for all tier members. There are 3 tiers. There is a tip jar tier that is $3, a $6 self-love club tier, and a $15 whip and sip tier. And when you look, you'll see there's different offerings based on your tier. But everybody gets, on Mondays, I do a mental health or a tarot post that's really fun. On Fridays, I do a weekly behind the scenes post so that you can see things that I haven't shared on Instagram or here on YouTube. That's just really fun. There are pattern discounts. If you are in the Whip and Sip Club tier, that top tier, twice every month we do virtual Whip and Sips where we all just have cocktails or mocktails and we sit and bullshit on Google Meets. It's really fun. And in the Self-Love Club tier, I also have a Wednesday post that I've been doing every week for about 2 months now, and I'm loving it. I think my Ko-fi's really enjoying it, but it is Wardrobe Wednesdays, where I am sharing different ways that I style my handmaids, ideas for styling particular types of handmaids, vlogs and blogs about body confidence and self-love and feeling really good in your makes. It's a good time. I think next week or the week after, I'm going to be going through all of my bathing suits, both handmade and non-handmade, and doing a big like toss or keep kind of thing. So that will be for the Self-Love Club. So if you sign up for the make-along, you get access to all those things depending on your tier level. And no, you do not have to stay in Ko-fi after the make-along. If you're just here for the make-along fun, that's totally fine. You can dip out after those 2 months. I'd love it if you stayed, but I totally understand if not. Okay, so that's my little plug for the make-along. And don't worry, I know that it started on the 20th, but you can join at any time and still be able to comment on posts to win prizes, and you can just catch up wherever we are. Whew. Okay, so what am I making for the Pop Your Cherry Make-Along? Well, I'm actually gonna be making 2 things, but I'll talk about the first right now. I'm gonna be trying Tunisian crochet for kind of the first time. I can't remember if it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't know. But I did try Tunisian crochet. I watched some videos and I was practicing and I cast on a shawl. I think it was the 3-Fork shawl by Montana Crochet, which is a gorgeous shawl. It was in no way the pattern's issue. I couldn't figure out the last stitch when I was doing like the basic Tunisian crochet stitch. There's something you have to do that I remember, like you have to go through one or not the other, or it's some sort of leg issue, but my edge looked so wonky. So I eventually was like, you know what, let me just frog this and I'll try again. And then I never tried again. So I have forgotten basically how to do all of it, but I am going to reteach myself. I am making the Daydream Shawl by Tony Lipsy of TLYarnCrafts. Tony is the Tunisian crochet, like beginner Tunisian crochet queen, I think. She has so many tutorials on YouTube on how to Tunisian crochet, and I think she has a lot of great beginner patterns. And this Daydream Shawl, it's not like the most beginner pattern, but it was one of the more beginner patterns that actually like, oh, I really want to make that. Because I'm probably not making like a cowl or things like that as a Florida girl, but that shawl, that's a sarong to me. That looks like a beachy shawl. So I'm willing to be an adventurous beginner and YouTube the things that I don't know how to do in order to have a project that I will actually like and use. So I'm going to be using this beautiful Lion Brand Mandala Ombre yarn. I have worked with this yarn before. I really like it. It is 100% acrylic, but it's super lightweight and soft. And I made the Magic Hour sweater by 2 of Wands with this yarn and just freaking loved it. It looks like a sunrise at Cocoa Beach. It makes me so happy. So I think I have 2.5 skeins of this, and if I need more, I'm totally fine with buying more. And this colorway is Serene. So the pattern I think calls for Aran weight yarn, and this is a worsted weight, but we're gonna make it work because every time I think about the shawl, this is what I'm picturing it in. So I'm just gonna make it work. Mine might be a little more airy and light, but that's honestly what I'm going for. I'm also going to be using a set of Tunisian crochet hooks that I received from the Scaniac, my beautiful friend Casey. She sent these to me 2, 3, 4 years ago whenever I decided I wanted to learn to Tunisian crochet. And they are like I think they're a nice set of plastic hooks. She told, I can't believe you still have those. You need to get better hooks. And not in a judgmental way. Like, we all start somewhere. And that's what I said. I'm like, I'm not even sure this is going to be my thing. So I'm very happy to use some cheaper hooks. And then hopefully if I do like it and I decide, oh, I want to get some better ones, I would be happy to gift those hooks to someone else who can also see if they want to dabble in Tunisian crochet. I just thought that was so sweet that my friend hooked me up with that. I did also want to mention, if you are a newbie to Tunisian crochet, I just got a tip from one of my Ko-fi members, Sparky. She let me know that, and I did this when I was a beginner crocheter. If you use stitch markers to mark the first and the last stitch, she told me that can really help with that ending stitch. And that's what she did with Tunisian crochet. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, duh, why didn't I think of that? But I think that's going to really help me not have my wonky edge. We'll see. And I will be filming this adventure. I kind of want to turn it into a YouTube video, like my first time popping my Tunisian crochet cherry. I think would be really fun just to see, you know, if I do get that wonky edge, that's part of learning. As Gigi would remind us, it's not hard, it's new. And that's okay. I can have kind of a wonky shawl at first. That's totally fine. But I think I will be filming it. So if you are interested in seeing that adventure, that will be coming up in the next 6 to however many weeks that it takes me. But honestly, I would love if you joined the Ko-fi and you joined our make along. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun trying new things this spring. My next whip is also not casted on. This is going to be a new design of mine. I did talk about this last time on Show Us Your Knits. I have not been able to make any progress on it, but it is the Rudy Blanket Wrap that I'm designing in memory of my sweet Rudy dude. Now this blanket wrap kind of fits into the Pop Your Cherry make along. I'll probably be sharing it on the Discord channel into my Ko-fi because I'm going to be designing with, again, it's not a completely new to me method, but I've never designed with it before and I've only used it a few times. So I think I'm going to need to get a little more comfortable and practice prior to working it up in the design. But I will be doing intarsia color work with this beach blanket wrap. If you remembered last time, or if you're new here, essentially I'm going to be using some worsted to chunky yarn. I just haven't decided if I'm holding it double or leaving it to be worsted. But I want to make a really squishy, cozy wrap. I think I said I really miss snuggling my buddy. And I just was trying to decide like, oh, what would I want to make? Like, do I want to do a sweater? Do I want to do a blanket? Different things. And what I really thought about is I want a wrap. I want something that I can tug around me, that I can wear out if I want to, you know, stay cozy and cuddly. And, you know, it doesn't just have to stay at home, but it's also big enough that it's kind of a blanket. And just to wrap myself in love and really think about him while I'm making it. It is going to have some intarsia color work. My plan is that other people will be able to use the coloring and markings of their fur babies to complete the wrap, just like I'll be doing with Rudy's coloring and markings. But if you don't have a fur baby and you just have like, I do think it would look really great in neon colors, the concept that I have in my mind. If you just want it to be kind of like an abstract blanket wrap, I also think that would be really cool. But I'm going to be swatching for it in the next little bit. Once I finish the Teresa dress and my ruana, which like I said, I think those will be wrapping up relatively quickly, I want to put more attention to that design. I've sketched it out. I've been doing like the paperwork and some of the computer work for it, but I haven't done any of the actual physical work for it yet. And I know it's going to be a very emotional design. So I want to give myself plenty of time and leeway for that. The yarn I'm 99% sure that I'm using, again, I haven't swatched or anything yet, but it is Hobbii Amigo XL. This is a really soft and beautiful, it's just an acrylic, but I like the texture to it. I saw some of the projects worked up and it has really nice stitch definition. And these two colors, they're the exact colors of Rudy. Let me turn this one down a little bit. Oh, there, that's very close to the actual colors. I feel like the light is blowing out the cream a little bit, but he was just, especially in his youth, was kind of like an orangey brown, like a cinnamon brown almost, and then the cream. So I just feel like this is gonna look so nice. And then he also was covered in freckles, so there's going to be a little bit of black, and for his nose. And then right on top of his nose, Rudy had a little pink mark, and his belly had lots of pink in it too. So there's gonna be little splashes of pale pink and black, and the majority of the blanket wrap will be in these two colorways. I'm really excited to get going on that, but I also think that once I start on that, I might hyperfixate, so I want to wrap up some of my other projects first. And the last whip I want to talk about, I probably should have done this one beforehand, but it is the Cordelia cardigan by Meghan Makes Do. In my head, the reason that I saved this for the end, even though it has been casted on, and I just talked about two that have not been casted on yet, but it's honestly just because I haven't touched it. This is the first time I've pulled it out since I think I talked to y'all last. But this is the back panel of my Cordelia, and really it's just because I took Teresa and the Relaxation ruana with me to Florida, and this has sat at home. So no progress has been made on it, but again, once Teresa is wrapped up and the Relaxation ruana is wrapped up, that's gonna free up a lot of space for some new projects. So I will have a new design, a design for them, or a project for the make along, and then this is probably just gonna be like my selfish project that I pick up. It's a great Disney project too, because it's just mindless stockinette. And once I finish the back panel, then I'm just casting on the two flaps. Oh, we brought the flaps back at the end. The two flaps for the front of the cardigan. And yeah, so I think there's going to be a Disney day or two in my near future. So this is probably what I will be bringing when I do that. And lest I forget, the yarn that I am using for the Cordelia cardigan is the pattern recommended yarn. It is Feels Like Butta from Lion Brand. This was a very Lion Brand heavy episode. I guess not very. It's two of the projects. This is colorway pink, and it's one that it's very addictive. Just working this stockinette and how buttery this yarn is, it is hard to stop working on it. But I'm glad that I've been working and rotating through some of my other projects, and I'll be getting them off my needles and hooks soon. It's always bittersweet to me when I finish a project. Talking to some of my Ko-fi members, that like it's almost harder to do the last like finishing things to a project, because I just feel like I don't want it to end. I've usually had such a great experience with my projects. I'm very much a process maker. So yeah, I never want them to end. But it's also really nice then to get to wear them and use them. And you can always cast on something new. All right, y'all. Well, that is all that I have for this week. Next week, I'm not sure what we'll be doing here on YouTube. It might be like an intro to the casting on my Tunisian project. I haven't decided if I want that to be a whole vlog, like from beginning to end, or if I'm just gonna show you the beginning of it. I've thought about maybe sharing one of the Wardrobe Wednesday videos that I've done, just so y'all can kind of see, and if that's something you're into, maybe you'll come join us over on Ko-fi. Maybe you'll come join the Pop Your Cherry Make-Along. I also think I have a couple fun things that might be coming up. So next week, so I might do a vlog, but there will be something. We will cobble together some sort of video. Maybe we'll just drink together. That could be fun too. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. I would really appreciate if you would give it a like. If there is a yarny friend in your life that you think would like this video, please give it a share. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Cheers. Bye, y'all.